So, a lot of action in the last 7 days, but there are three things that I think are interesting. Let's talk about it. So, a lot of interesting things have happened in the last 7 days since my last video. But I want to talk about it from more of a 10,000 foot level and then get into those three things. So, as we know, the Veve app is really it's stagnant. It's really not moving. They've been doing a lot of new drops. Some of them are really, really interesting. I think people are kind of holding their breath a little bit on all these kind of new features that we're waiting for. But I also think that many people, including myself, think there could be some very special Star Wars drop coming on May 4th. We'll see if that happens. But I think, so that may have stagnated the market a little bit. But really, as we know, and from some of my other videos, the user base isn't really growing much. And so I think there's a lot of people that are kind of sitting on the sidelines watching. What really we're interested is seeing from Veve and Ecomi the kind of scaffolding that is going to allow us to believe that this particular project is going to be able to stand the test of time. Now, there's, as you know, my biggest thing that I've been bullish on is, of course, the IP. When you have Marvel, when you have Star Wars, when you have, DC, and a lot of incredible independent artists. I mean, this is what is kind of the bread and butter of Veve. And so, I think that's why it will be successful long term. But we need, some of these other pieces, which we always talk about, MTL and, the website, and all these other things to come about for us to get excited and understand that they're, being able to fulfill some of these promises. And sometimes I think we forget that this is a startup company that is, I'm sure scrambling to try and get things done. I've been a part of a lot of those. I'm currently involved in one right now, and it's a long haul, but exciting and fun, but a lot of work. So I totally understand that from the team, especially that perspective. But let me talk about the three things that I think were interesting. And it's kind of a situation, I think, with Veve because they have been relatively successful. They're dropping, unbelievably gorgeous NFTs. They have the AR piece. And I do think that normally if any project were to do things like this, it would get a big bang. But because they've been doing this for over a year now, I do think it's kind of the what have you done for me lately? And people have kind of, in a weird way, gotten bored with some of these spectacular ones when you think of Black Panther or Moon Knight, some of the ones that have just been dropped. And so we're waiting for that next big thing. But I actually think it's more than that. And so that's why I want to talk about these three things. So what is the first thing? The first thing is the web app. We've been waiting for this. And there's a lot of key pieces. And you're starting to see a lot of people that are in the beta show it off in videos. I'll link a couple things here. And you can go look at that yourself. And it's exciting. It's basically kind of a mirror of the mobile app. But there's lots of great features, but the one feature that I found very interesting, of course, is that it seems like you're able to buy, almost an unlimited number of gems. Whereas right now, as you know, you kind of got to buy them in groups of 600 and it's really cumbersome. So that shows me that people are going to be able to purchase some of these large collectibles. And that's what we're interested in, right? As these collectibles grow, how are people going to fund that? That answers some of that questions. So plus it's just the beginning, and I'm sure this is just, version one of, they're going to have many, many, many versions. And this is the one they're putting in beta, and obviously will eventually go live for everybody. And they're fulfilling some of these promises that they've been talking about, for months. So it's super, super important. And that will help, I believe, Veve continue to keep traction. It is a piece of, and I like to use the term scaffolding because, so let's talk about, I remember, if you've seen some interviews with Jeff Bezos and other things when he was talking about building Amazon, he always talked about he had to have all these pieces in place for Amazon to be successful. He talked about the internet had to be successful, credit cards, all these different pieces had to be there for his website to be successful. And I think we're seeing, obviously Veve try to build these pieces of scaffolding. We're watching, and as they come together, I really think that's going to assist in really, making and allowing the, company to explode. So the first one was the web app. The second one, which was interesting, which they announced during one of their monthly AMAs, and that's interesting too. So they've gone away from, they used to do them in Discord sometimes or on Twitter, and they had a lot of people asking questions. Sometimes people would ask questions that they'd already answered in Medium articles and other things. And so they've kind of gone to this YouTube video where they discuss topics that people are on people's mind. It's kind of a negative because you can't necessarily ask questions that people are want answered right away. But it's pretty effective in the terms of it's very efficient. They ask some of the questions and they're able to answer some of them right away. So I do like that. I do like that they're not, I think they were attempting to constantly give updates, and a lot of times there's nothing to update. They're just working on it. And that's, and so, every day or week trying to answer those questions, I think was difficult for them. So to go to this monthly YouTube AMA, I think makes sense. So I do like that. But anyways, they did announce two things in there that I thought were interesting. The very first one I thought was interesting is that they are finished with this new drop algorithm, which is kind of a waiting room, which takes us away from the current drop system, as you recall, where it's really a first come, first serve. And that was, if you could hit it faster than the next guy, then you were getting it. And that caused a lot of problems because people made a lot of different, illegal apps that would, click really, really fast, bot apps, whatever you want to call it. So that seems to be ready to go, which once again is fulfilling another technology promise that they had. Really will allow them to scale. And the interesting thing is they are going to, the very first drop is going to be dropping their logo, which in itself is fun to have. But I think it's interesting because from the financial perspective, let's just pretend this new logo is all gold and then they do another one silver or bronze or whatever it might be. It allows them, and I'm assuming they're going to be making it's not like they have to share with any license or anything like that. They're going to make all the money, which from the perspective of a 10,000 foot level, when you're looking at the health of Veve, are they able to raise money? Because money really is a big deal in terms of, a lot of this, cutting edge, bleeding edge technology that they're trying to build. You basically need to hire developers and artists and other things. And really, in some cases, the more money you can throw at it will allow you to do, some interesting thing, allow you to make some mistakes, move faster. It all matters. So I think this selling of the logo plus having the new drop system ready is really, really exciting. And it shows once again, 2 or 3 or 4 more pieces of the scaffolding that they're putting together to keep them ahead of their competition. And I think, each particular piece that they're putting together is going to add up, and we'll see another big bull run here in Veve. I'll add a couple other things because people constantly are asking me, what are you buying? What do you think? And so the 2 comics that I have been interested in was NYX3. That I was purchasing and stacking for around $8. It's now moved to about $15. I stack the uncommons, as a lot of people know, mainly because it's a 4-to-1 ratio in most cases. So I stacked at one, and now I just have those. I'm keeping those. And so the one that I've been focused on is Inhumans 5, which is the first appearance of Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow. We have seen her in the new Black Widow movie. We have seen her in a Disney Plus show. I think she's going to show up in a bunch more movies and a bunch more Disney Plus shows. Generally speaking, I think most people like the actress, like the character. And so that is my pick for this week is Inhumans 5. Once again, I've been stacking the uncommons, but you can really go for anything. There's so many good comics right now that you could grab a couple of. Heroes for Hire is a good one. So there's a variety of ones that you could. They're all really inexpensive if you want to take a shot at a couple of them. Like I said, I always recommend the uncommons, but it's up to you. Take care. Thanks. I really appreciate all the support. I'll talk to y'all soon.